Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
We are discussing the module 8 of the organic chemical technology course, and in the lecture 5 we discuss about the nylon 6 and nylon 66 and the various raw material for the nylon 6 and nylon 66, but so far the development of the synthetic fiber industry and the two say textile, which you can say in the open industry, that was only the major breakthrough was with the coming of the polyester. So, we will be discussing in case of the this synthetic fiber industry, that is the DMT and terephtalic acid, because these are the two important feedstock for this polyester. And then in brief we will be discussing about the PET resin and the PBT resin, because now the PET and the PBT that is being used in large scale, and lot of the development is coming especially in the packaging industry, use of the PET and PBT. So for the DMT or the terephtalic is concerned, it was starting in the DMT with the development of the various purification technology. It was possible to shift from the DMT to terephtalic acid, and what we called it the purified terephtalic acid, that is the raw material for the, but the starting phase of the development of the polyester, that was from the DMT, and from the it was shifting from the DMT and terephtalic because of the crystallization process or the sublimation process that was developed for the purification of the crude terephtalic acid. So, the coverage of the lecture will be introduction, polyester fiber, importance about the polyester fiber, per capita consumption of the polyester, raw materials for the dimethyl terephthalate and purified terephthalate, then manufacture of dimethyl terephthalate, and then the manufacture of the purified terephthalic acid we will be discussing in detail. Advantage of the purified, sometimes both the words we are using, TPA terephthalic acid or PTA purified terephthalic acid. What are the advantage of the, what was the reason? Because now the most of the units of the polyester which we are using the DMT, that has been either closed or that has been shifted to the TPA as a raw material. So, process technology for the purified terephthalic acid, here we will be also discussing what are the various routes. Various routes are available for purified acid, but two important processes which is available, mobile AMCO process, that is we are using, one is based on the crystallization and the sublimation, and that is for the only one is the crystallization and that is the your sublimation process for purification. Then the polyester from the DMT and the PTA, how we are making the polyester the same way as we discussed about the nylon 6. Here also the process, the after the polymerization we are getting the polyester, which may be either as a chips you can get, or it will go to the your this spinning process where the polyester fibers, staples, yarn, whatever in which whatever the form that is required, that you can produce. And also in the last we will be discussing about the PET resin and DBT resin. So, for the polyester is concerned, as I told you, the one of the very important part of the our synthetic fiber. Global polyester production in all forms is currently around 56 million tons and may cross 100 million tons in the next decade. Indian textile industry has the potential to grow to about $220 billion US by 2020 from the current size of 80 billion. So, this was the how the growth rate of the polyester. So, now let us discuss about the importance of the polyester fiber. Polyester fiber, and we need the polyester, and what was the actually the real development which is taking place in case of the synthetic fiber industry because of the coming of the polyester, the various actually combination of the polyester with the cotton, with the acrylic fiber that is there, and the this has reduced the cost considerably of the textile material. So, polyester staple fiber is one of the most rapidly growing fiber due to its cost, effectiveness, turnkey technology, and ease of the possibility and the care. Polyester is one of the most popular synthetic fiber in non-wovens because of its versatility in a wide range of end uses. Among the polyester, polyethylene terephthalate is the predominant commercial polyester and are being manufactured in the various trade names. Means this is the polyester means the polyethylene terephthalate, that is the name of the Dacron, terylene, or इसमें the tria, that is the hottest cousin. So, these are the tria, that is the another trade name, but terylene and Dacron, these are the two famous trade name. One was the, because DuPont has been the pioneer in the manufacture of the synthetic fiber, whether it is in nylon 6 or polyester. So, polyester is one of the most popular synthetic fiber in non-wovens because of its versatility in a wide range of end uses. Hygiene market is another area where polyester has found and place, especially in the baby diapers, because now you see the use of the diapers that has increased like anything, and so this is the another actually importance in case of the your polyester fiber. And then the feminine hygiene products and adults incontinence items and wipes, these are the other uses of the. Besides the lower per capita consumption of around 5 kg in India as against the global average of 11 kg, and that indicates that there is huge potential for the expansion of the polyester industry in India, and this is the reason number of large units that has come which are making the polyester as well as the PET resin also, and then we are also having the your this export market for the polyester, and especially the Reliance, they are supplying their polyester to other country also. Indian polyester polymer production is likely to grow at the 10 to 11% as against the global average of 10%, and is expected to reach 10 million tons by 2020. This is the per capita consumption of the various fibers which are seeing, and our per capita consumption, that is the low, and so there is lot of the scope of the development of the synthetic fiber industry. And this is the percentage of the your polyester that you are making from the non-woven man-made fibers. Woven, it is more, it is the only in the non-woven sector, because the polypropylene is showing high figure, but polyester in the woven sector it is the maximum is of the polyester. This is the capacity and production of the polyester in India, and the polyester filament, because we are having the different from yarn, staple, staple, fiber field. So, the three category of the polyester that is available, and this is the installed capacity, and this is the production. This is 173 multiplied 100 1000 tons. This is all the figure multiplied by 1000 tons. So, the raw material for dimethyl terephthalate are the purified terephthalate is PTA or TPA. Do not confuse with the PTA or TPA, both are the same, but DMT or the terephthalate raw material again the same for both. The polyester is made from the DMT or purified terephthalic acid after the polymerization of DMT or the purified terephthalic acid. Here actually the paraxylene, that is the major raw material for making of the DMT or the terephthalic acid. This is the paraxylene which we are getting one of the major source, that is the catalytic reforming. Another source may be the pyrolysis gasoline, coke oven plant earlier before coming of the your petrochemical complex. It was the coke oven plant that were getting the aromatics, although the yield of the paraxylene that is much less in case of the coke oven plant. Another important feedstock that we need in case of the polyester manufacture, that is the monoethylene glycol. And one of the byproduct which you are getting here in case of the polyester manufacture in the DMT, that is the methanol. And this is the, if you see the world capacity of the methanol, one source of the methanol that is also shown through the DMT routes, because in the process we are getting the methanol. So, let us discuss about the dimethyl terephthalate, and then I will discuss about the compare why shifting from the dimethyl terephthalate to terephthalic acid is there. So, paraxylene, the recycled parathylic, because parathylic acid that is formed in the process are oxidized with air at 150 to 150 degrees centigrade in the presence of the cobalt or magnesium to form parathylic acid, terephthalic acid and monomethyl terephthalate. So, this parathylic acid which there the ester of the parathylic acid that is recycled in the system. The final oxidation product goes to the esterification column. In the esterification column, oxidation product is esterified with methanol. Esterification takes place at 240 to 250 degrees centigrade. Parathylic acid is esterified to parathylic ester, while TPA and MMT form DMT. That is dimethyl terephthalate, and that is the crude terephthalic acid, and the this MMT that is going for the DMT. This is the process before going to the this is the process for dimethyl terephthalate, that is the paraxylene that is going to the catalyst preparation section, then the paraxylene that is going to the reaction system, oxidation, esterification where methanol, and here as I told you during the process methanol again it is being generated in the reaction, and the final that the DMT, and that is going to the for the polyester plant for making of the polyester, that is the polymerization of the DMT. So, these are the series of distillation column where the separation that is taking place, and the vacuum crystallizer is there, the centrifuge is there where the centrifugation is there, and the recycled paramethylate that is going to the again oxidation term, and the finally the DMT that is going to the DMT purification section. So, this is the process which we are using here. Actually, these are the separation of the methanol that is taking place here, and the here the top product that is going to the methanol column, because this is light end that is going to the methanol column where the separation of the methanol that is taking place. Now, let us come to the terephthalic acid, which I told you that the all the polyester units were using the DMT that has been either closed or they have been shifted, they have shifted their raw material from DMT to terephthalic acid. And so, DMT was the traditional raw material for the manufacture. Even during the starting when the polyester came into the market, it was the Bombay dyeing which started manufacturing the DMT and the DMT to polyester, but after coming of the Patal Ganga plant of the Reliance industry, that they started making this polyester from the terephthalic acid. That was the actually the change over from the raw material, and now the situation, because they are making terephthalic acid in their Hajra plant, and so the most of the market of the polyester that is from the terephthalic acid. Another one of the big unit that has come, that is the Indian Oil Corporation, Panipat refinery, they have started their terephthalic acid plant, which is again the paraxylene route, paraxylene to terephthalic acid they are making, and that is one of the another major development that took place in case of the terephthalic acid manufacture. So, the DMT, which was the traditional raw material for the manufacture of polyester due to non-availability of pure terephthalic acid, this was the problem during the initial stage of the polyester manufacture, when the DMT that was used for making the polyester. As crude terephthalic acid was difficult to purify because of the high refractory nature, high boiling point and extreme insolubility in most solvents. However, the technological breakthrough occurred in 1960 in making the terephthalic acid of the sufficient high purity with the development of the separation the purification process based on the crystallization and the sublimation. These are the two processes by which we are making the purified terephthalic acid. One is the AMCO process, where the crystallization process is used for purification. Another is the mobile process, where the sublimation is used for the purification of the terephthalic acid. So, let us discuss the why TPA over DMT, what was the need for shifting from TPA to DMT. Per unit of the polyester produced, about 15% less TPA is required if you compare with the DMT. Bulk density of TPA is 1.0 as compared to DMT, which is 0.5. Thus, the transportation cost and storage required for TPA are significantly lower because of the higher bulk density in case of the terephthalic acid. Another advantage, TPA process required a lesser feed mole ratio of glycol to PTA, because here in the process we need the ethylene, monoethylene glycol is around, this is the 1.2 against the 1.6 for DMT. That is the mole ratio of the glycol to PTA. PTA again we are using, as I told you, the PTA is term we are using for the purified terephthalic acid. DMT is fed to the trans-esterification process in molten form, while the TPA cannot be melted. So, esterification reaction of the TPA does not require any catalyst, whereas the trans-esterification of DMT has to be catalyzed. With TPA, it is simpler to maintain a constant degree of esterification. In case of DMT, trans-esterification step is very sensitive to the quality of the raw material, changing the instantaneous mole ratio, etc. So, this was actually the purity of the product, that was also one of the reason of the shifting from DMT to TPA, because the polyester which you are getting from the purified acid of the better quality than what we are getting from the DMT. The TPA process, water is byproduct, where the DMT process, methanol is the byproduct. Therefore, more processes are in handling of the methanol that is there in case of the DMT process. Another advantage, that with the TPA process it is easier to reclaim the polymer. Product from the TPA is better with respect to the thermal and hydrolytic stability. Product cost in case of the TPA is lesser due to the reduced raw material requirement, reduced transport and handling cost, which I told you that the bulk density is less. At the same time, raw material requirement in case of the terephthalic is less than 15% less than this DMT. So, let us discuss what are the method that we are using. So, the purified terephthalic acid, catalytic oxidation of paraxylene to make crude terephthalic acid. This involves oxidation, crystallization, solvent recovery or filtering or drying. Purification of CTA to make PTA involves hydrogenation, crystallization, that is in case of the AMCO process, centrifuging, drying, conveying, storage, bagging, or by leaching and sublimation, that is in case of the mobile process. So, both these technology are available and that is being used for the making of the purified terephthalic acid. During the leaching, because in the mobile process, let us discuss during leaching impurities like para-carboxybenzaldehyde and cobalt catalysts are removed from the crude TPA. Crude TPA is further purified by sublimation. That is the so let us first discuss this mobile process. The para-xylene is oxidized in the presence of the cobalt-based catalyst without using any promoter. The reaction takes place in acid media at around 130 degrees centigrade. Methyl ethyl ketone is used as activator. After cooling, washing and centrifuging, crude TPA is sent to the purification section. Here the purification of the crude TPA takes place in two ways. The crude TPA is slurried with the acetic acid and charged to the leaching stage. So this was about the during the leaching impurities are removed. Crude TPA from leaching operation is dispersed in steam, hydrogen and catalyst are added to which is then passed through the heated furnace. The purified TPA vapors after separating the impurities are condensed. This is the AMCO process: oxidation, crystallization, separation, dyeing, off gas recovery, solvent recovery, catalyst recovery, and this is the for purifying the feed preparation, reactor section, crystallization, separation and drying, and the PTA stage. Here we do not have the that the sublimation process are there in the mobile process. This is the reaction that is taking place in case of the para-xylene, that is in the presence of air, that is oxidized, that this para-xylene is oxidized with air at 20 atmosphere pressure in presence of the catalyst cobalt acetate, manganese acetate and hydrobromic acid as a promoter. These are the some of the reaction, that is series of the reaction that is taking place in case of the your actually the hydrogenation part, that was for the removal of the impurity, that is the here in this case this was the for the removal of the impurity. And chemistry in the case of the crude terephthalic acid, this is the reaction that is taking place, oxidation, and then this in the case of the finally the para-toluic acid which is there, that is because that is again changed to the 4-carboxybenzaldehyde plus oxygen, and this is converted to terephthalic acid, and this terephthalic acid which you are getting, this is the your 4-carboxybenzaldehyde. This is the process that you are getting from the oxidation of para-toluic acid to 4-carboxybenzaldehyde. This is the process technology for purified terephthalic acid, para-xylene precipitate oxidation reactor. Here actually one of the acetic acid that is used in during the process, and so this crystallizer, rotary vacuum filter, dryer, dissolver, PTA crystallizer. Here actually two stages of the crystallization that we are taking, and finally the PTA that we are getting here, which may go on further for spinning. These are the various reaction that is taking place, and as I told you, the purification part of the crude terephthalic acid in case of the mobile process, that is sublimation. In case of the AMCO process, the crude terephthalic acid through the crystallizer, that is going to this series of crystallizer, and then the purification that is taking place. So for the oxidation part is concerned, that is not much different. Only in case of the impurities that has to be removed during the process, and the care that is taken in case of the purified terephthalic acid to get a pure terephthalic acid, which was the problem in the initial stages of the DMT, the polyester manufacture from DMT. These are the two another process that has been developed, that is the Henkel process or the Henkel 2 process. This is the AMCO process in more detail, that as I told you, we are having the oxidation, crystallizer, centrifuging, then the again wash tank, centrifuging, hydrogenation for removal of the impurities, filtration, again crystallization, centrifuging and drying. So this part is for the removal of the impurities which is present there. And this is the for the separation from here, it is going to the for recovery of the acetic acid that we are getting again, that is present in the reaction. So as I told you that we are having the two routes, one is the your this DMT route, another is your terephtalic acid, purified terephtalic acid route. So the transesterification or the esterification reaction that is taking place in case of the, in one case that we are getting the methanol as a byproduct, but in other case only the water is coming. So this is the difference between these two processes, apart from the purity, handling of the DMT or the compression, the advantage of the raw material. This is one of the another, because the this part, but so far the image is concerned in both the process that we are using, only this is the process hazard that is there in case of the when you are going for the DMT route. Now let us discuss the polyester process technology. What are the various steps involved in making of the polyester? Here actually the raw material, as I told you, that the paraxylene, DMT, or it may be the PTA unit, depending upon it may be DMT or the PTA, then the ethylene glycol, polyester manufacture, that from the PTA, that transesterification, polymerization, spinning, cutting and welding, because here also the polyester which are melt spinning, we are having the three types of the spinning process. One is the melt spinning, another is the dry spinning, and third is the wet spinning. So in the case of the nylon and polyester, we are having the melt spinning, but in case of the acrylic fiber, which will be discussed in the next lecture, what we are doing, that the, or even in case of the viscose yarn, we are having the wet your spinning process, where the cellulose is regenerated in case of the viscose yarn, and here they also the regeneration of the your fiber that is taking place in case of the acrylic fiber. But with the development of dimethyl formamide solvent, now the spinning of the your acrylic fiber, that has been actually the process that has been more simplified, and so the we are using in case of the melt spinning, it is melted and then it is passed to the spinning. In case of the your this dry spinning, it is dissolved in the solvent and then passed to the spinner, and while coming in the hot air steam, that is the removal of the your solvent that is taking place. So here in case of the spinning process, we are using the melt spinning. So this is the actually the in case of the your from the DMT route, and here also you are seeing that the with the same chips, that is the chip storage to packaging, or it will be the chips which we are getting after the polymerization, the chips that will go for the milling, spinning, draw machine, annular and the crimper, and then the dryer and etc. So the process is same, only the here reaction which I discussed earlier, that slightly difference in the reaction is there, and here you are getting methanol as a byproduct in the process. So this is the polyester from the DMT route, where methanol that you are getting as a byproduct. So the, as I told you, there are two steps involved. One is the in case of the your polyester, that is one is your polycondensation, another is your spinning process after the polymer which you are getting. So, these are the catalysts which are being used: antimony dioxide, flasher, pre-polymizer, fincer, vacuum. This is the reaction, and this is the your operating condition that you are having. The vacuum at the last is 2 meter Hg, temperature is around 285 degrees centigrade. Spinning of the polyester is done by melt spinning. Molten polymer pass through the spinneret, number of spinneret, fine holes are there through that spinneret, that is the molten polymer that is being passed. The quench, the filaments are passed to winding unit through the finish applicator. So, this is the process which already we discussed, the two types of the fiber we are getting, the staple fibers or the yarn, that you are continuous yarn that you are getting. Now discuss about the polyethylene terephtalic resin. The PET resin packaging industry growth rates are driven by continued strong demand for bottled water, mineral water, that is the one of the huge amount of the bottle that is using the PET resin. The expansion of the new carbonated soft drink, because you see this soft drinks packaging also we are using this PET resins, and the new packaging application of the PET. These are the some of the driving force compared to the conventional PTA and PET process. This is the one of the technology that has been developed, that the Intech Rex TM technology stand out for fewer process steps, similar, more reliable and more cost efficient. PET, apart from its major use as synthetic fiber, finds application in the photography film, video tape, computer and the magnetic tapes, beverage bottles, etc. And this is the, you can say, the PET resin, and similar actually the chips also we are getting in case of the polyester, which is going for the your textile industry, and these are the some of the application of the PET resin, different packaging material that we are using for the soft drinks, that is from the, and this is made from the recycled PET, because the recycling of the plastic, that has become one of the very important issue, because the both recycling to the process it, or by the destructive distillation, the recovery of the your monomer, both the method that being here, this bottle that has been made with the only the recycled bottles. Another important development has been in case of the use of the terephthalic acid, the polybutylene terephthalate manufacture. PBT, which was introduced in 1962 and was made available around 1971, is made by condensing terephthalic acid, a dimethyl ester 1,4-butadiene. So, this is one of the major user of the 1,4-butadienol for the making of the polybutylene terephthalate. This PBT finds use as engineering material due to its dimensional stability, particularly in water, and its resistance to hydrocarbon without showing stress cracking, high mechanical strength and excellent electrical property, lower water absorption. So, these are the some of the advantage of the PBT. Blends of the PET and PBT are using the glass fibers reinforced grade. PBT find application in pipe, pump, hosing, impeller bearing brushing, gear wheels and electrical parts, and such as the connector and the fuse cases, automotive parts and toothbrush blisters, etc. Because of the thermoplastic nature, both PET and PBT may be processed by injection or the extrusion molding. This is the reaction that is taking place in case of the your polybutylene terephthalate that we are having. So, this was about the polyester manufacture, importance of the polyester and the shifting of the terephthalic acid to DMT to terephthalic acid, and the real driving force for the development of the polyester industry, that is because of the availability of the feedstock, especially the paraxylene from the catalytic reforming process at much cheaper rate. And this is the reason also the total cost of the polyester, that is much less than if you compare with the other synthetic fibers, and because of that reason polyester that has become one of the important blend in case of the synthetic fiber industry. And so now the clothing purposes we are having the various combination of the polyester with the viscose, and normally now we are called the terrycloth. So that is also the blend of the viscose rayon and the this polyester. Other blending, it may be blended with the acrylic fiber also, and this is the reason with the coming of the acrylic fiber and the polyester, there are lot of the changes in the carpet industry, in the your curtains, which you are getting different variety of the curtains with much lesser cost we are getting this material. Otherwise the cost of the cotton, that is compared to the polyester, that is very only problem in case of the polyester clothing, that is it is not so comfortable because our climatic condition is different than the what in the countries where the temperature is low, but here the temperature during summer. So it is not very comfortable, but at least it is better than nylon. But if you compare with the viscose, definitely it must be some blend of the viscose and the polyester, so that the more comfort is there in the. So this was the actually the about the polyester industry, and you see the number of units that has come, and one of the major producer of the polyester, that is the Reliance industry, and they are the major player in case of the textile industry also, because the most of the polyester, the unit which were based on the DMT, as I told you earlier also, that has been closed or that has been taken over by the Reliance industry. It may be JCT or the Raymond fiber, or it may be the Indian polyfiber, Barabanki, all that is the unit. Now they are using the your terephthalic acid, purified terephthalic acid.